Welcome, everyone. Our journey today takes us to a small book in size, but one that ignited some of the greatest questions in modern philosophy and literature. The Myth of Sisyphus, by French philosopher and writer Albert Camus. This text, published in 1942, is considered the cornerstone of Camus' philosophy, known as absurdism. The beginning. The most serious question. Camus opens his book with a sharp, shocking statement. There is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. For him, the essential question is, does life deserve to be lived? If we cannot find meaning, why go on at all? The absurd, the eternal conflict. The absurd does not mean life is silly or empty. Rather, it is the tension between the human need for clarity and meaning and the silence of the universe. What is the absurd? It is the confrontation between man's cry for meaning and the unreasonable silence of the world. Imagine waking up in the middle of your daily routine, realizing suddenly that everything is repeated endlessly without purpose. That is the moment of awareness of the absurd. Possible solutions. Camus presents 3 ways to respond to the absurd. 1. Physical suicide. But he sees this as surrender. To kill oneself is to confess that life is not worth the trouble. 2. Philosophical suicide, leaping into a ready-made belief system, religion, or ideology to avoid facing the absurd. The leap of faith is nothing but an escape from the question. 3. Revolt, Camus' solution, to live the absurd fully, with complete awareness, without illusions, and without surrender. The Myth of Sisyphus. The story. Sisyphus was condemned by the gods to push a massive boulder up a mountain, only for it to roll back down each time he reached the top. An endless, repetitive, and seemingly meaningless labor. Yet Camus flips the interpretation. Sisyphus is all of us. Our lives, our daily work, our ambitions that collapse only to be rebuilt. These are our own boulders, pushed up the hill each day. The moment of revolt. Camus highlights not the act of pushing the boulder, but the moment Sisyphus walks back down the mountain to begin again. At that moment, when Sisyphus goes back down, he is conscious of his fate, and yet he is stronger than his rock. And here Camus writes his most famous line, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." A simplified analysis. Absurdism is not nihilism. Nihilism says, nothing has meaning, therefore nothing matters. Absurdism says, there is no ultimate meaning, but we can create our own values and meanings in spite of it. Freedom is born from the absence of destiny. Since the universe does not impose meaning, we are free to invent our own. Passion is the practical solution. To live fully, to love, to create, to work, to savor the small moments. This is how we push our rock consciously. Reflections in life. At work, in study, in the monotony of routine, we can recall Sisyphus. The rock does not vanish, but awareness makes us free. In art, creativity is not a search for ultimate truth, but a celebration of existence despite its absurdity. Even in suffering, awareness of the absurd can transform despair into inner strength. Connections to Camus' other works. In The Stranger, Meursault lives the absurd directly, without pretension, without false justification. In The Plague, Camus expands revolt from the individual to the collective. People fight the epidemic, not because salvation is guaranteed, but because solidarity itself gives meaning. In The Rebel, Camus tries to draw ethical and political boundaries for revolt so that it does not turn into destruction. Conclusion. The Myth of Sisyphus is not just a work of philosophy, it is a lesson in how to live. Revolt is the certainty that life has no ultimate meaning, and yet we live as if everything has meaning. We are all Sisyphus, pushing our boulders daily. But true freedom begins when we choose to push them consciously, and only then can we imagine Sisyphus happy. This was an exploration of Albert Camus' The Myth of Sisyphus. If you enjoyed this blend of analysis and quotes, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to catch the upcoming episodes.